Mighty ho, my crafty friends. This is Lori at the Ladybug Journals. How are you today? So today we're going to continue on with our little children's book and making getting our signatures ready to sew in. So when I last left you, we had pulled the signatures out of our book, and let me refresh you on the book that we're working in. It's this little Hey Diddle Diddle book. And we had pulled the signatures out, and I had glued down around the inside and pulled all the threading off of the pages, and we were left with all of the stitch marks. Well, when I left you, I did a little further investigation of the pages, and they are quite brittle. And they would not be able to withstand a stitching, down the center. So I did some search into my fabric stash, and I found this piece of vintage fabric that I had, and it's got all the colors in it that are in the book, and this is one of my favorite fabrics. And I'll show you a bigger piece of it here in just a second. So what I'm doing here is I'm laying the pages like if this was the book and we flipped the pages like this, to read the story. I'm laying them like this, and I'm laying a strip of fabric. It's 1 inch wide, and I'm laying it here at the crease. So as we sew through it, we're going to be sewing through the fabric. And you don't have to do it with fabric. You could do it with washi tape. You could do it with any number of things. But I wanted to do it with the same fabric that we're going to use on the cover that we're going to do today. And but this needs to dry. And I thought, well, I'll just show you guys how I'm doing this. So you do it basically the same way that you do washi tape. This is basically fabric washi tape without the sticky. I'm using our PVA glue, and now this is the inside of the page, and I'm making sure that the fabric adheres very well, because I don't want it to come off. And I'm just laying them flat out to dry on my table behind me here. And I want to make sure you guys can see it. So let me scoot it up here. I think you can. I've got my camera angle changed. So I just put, I put glue all down the back side, down through the middle. And then I add fabric on top. And what caught my eye on this was the very first page, the cover page of the book. It was torn. It was a mess. And so I knew that there was no way that it could, it would be able to hold up to me putting thread through it. There was just no way. So I had to do something in order to make it strong enough so I could sew through it. There was just no way it could. And other than me just sticking these signatures in a pocket, to take out and read, that was my only other option. Now, once you get this on here, you cannot fold this, okay? You cannot. So avoid the temptation, put it someplace that you can't see it, out of reach, because you cannot fold it. Okay. And I do not have my mic on today, so I hope my stuffy nose isn't too annoying. I couldn't find it this morning. I know it's here on my table somewhere, but I moved it yesterday, and now I can't find it anywhere. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is I'm taking our PVA glue and I'm running it right down the middle. You can see the little dots where it was sewn. I'm just running it all along those little dots. And this is just my little cereal bags that I'm working on. That's all they are. Because, you know, they're disposable, easily disposable. And I'm just making sure I'm putting plenty on. And I'm taking a 1-inch strip of fabric. And this goes in different ways, but I've determined if my bird is going the right direction, then that's the direction that I'm following. And then I'm putting my fabric on. And I'm just pushing it down. And then I'm coming back and checking my edges. And it is covering up a little bit of the pictures, but it would have covered up a little bit of the pictures no matter what I used. There we go. So just making sure I've got my edges down. All the way up to the top. There we go. And then around back, I'm just putting it on the fabric as well as on the book. So I'm just using my fabric as a guide. Just like that. And then I'm taking whatever's left on my brush and just making sure that the edge of the fabric is pushed down. And the edges of these pages are very brittle, so I'm trying to be really, really careful with them. So this fabric should help them, you know, reinforce them. Up at the top where they were sewn in, they're very brittle. And push that over. Okay. And I spent, I don't know how long trying to figure out how in the world we're going to put this book together. Because this is wider than our normal signatures. All right, let's get the top on this and get it out of our way. And I'm going to wrap my brush in my wet wipe. Hold on a second here. Let's get to this. Over here. Okay, out of the way. Let's wipe the glue off of here. I'm going to just wrap my brush in this wet wipe until I can get it into the water and cleaned. And put it out of the way. Okay. Now, we don't need that. I didn't want my hands to get all sticky. Okay, so I can show you with the cover the difference in the width of these pages. So these are our regular signature pages that we create, you know, 8.5 by 11 page folded in half. This is the book cover. And to determine how wide, you know, children's book covers are, see in the back where that is versus the edge of the book. That piece right there, see where the printed piece is? That's how wide the actual page is. It goes from the edge of here to here. So that's pretty wide. If I put this up there, look at the difference in the width. So there's a little bit of difference. So to figure out how to do this, and with the height, I've already cut them to the height. So they're all the same height, but there's still difference in height. I mean width. And I didn't want to cut the pages because then I have to come up with a different way of joining them, and they're already joined. It just seemed kind of silly to me to go on and cut them. A lot of people do cut them though. They do cut them, and then they just put them in a different way. And but I didn't want to do that. So I thought, well, I added that fabric to reinforce them. And then I thought, okay, so how can we do it? So I'm going to put the book pages in their normal way. But we're going to add these signatures in the middle of the book pages. So right smack in the middle of the book pages, you're going to have these, at least one of these signatures. One of these will be on the front, which I think is going to be this one. The other one of these is going to be in the middle of the signature. So it'll go like this. It'll be, you'll open the book and see this. Then you'll see the first half of the children's book. Then you'll have this. You'll flip it, and then the second half. And remember the cock-a-doodle-doo? It'll end up on the back where we wanted it. So that's how we're going to put it together. Now, to put the cover together, and I did find some cardstock in the same color family that's in the book. So we are going to get that cut today in there. And it's one-sided. It's just one-sided. So we can fold it differently. We can add pockets to it. We can do whatever we want to it. So to put this together, I cut a piece of, oh my gosh, you guys, my brain just went flip. It just cut itself off because it didn't want to talk anymore. I cut a piece of board for the spine to go here. And it is, oh my goodness, it is 1 inch wide. So I cut this 1 inch wide, which is bigger. It's twice as big as the original spine. The original spine was just 1/2 inches. Oh, I can't talk today. It's just 1/2 inch. So I cut this one at 1 inch. And then I covered it with the fabric. This is what the fabric looks like. Okay. And it's got all the colors, the red, that faded red, the green, the gold. There's even some of the pinks in there. And that green color is in there. So that's what our fabric is going to look like. So to make our cover, come here, you. Oops, this is going on the front. So I need to make sure our birds are going the right way. We're going to lay this down like this. And I need to make sure it's straight. And then, now, this is wider than what I need. So I just needed to measure how wide I needed. So let's see on the front. On the front, I don't want to cover up the entire moon. But maybe right there. Maybe right there. I think that might work. Now, remember, I wanted to keep the little elf. This little elf. This strip right here is going to go on the inside. And I cut a little piece to reinforce it. Just in case we wanted it, to go inside like this. But I think what I'm going to do is I might use this on a page. I might wrap it around a page, one of these pages, and having peeking around a page. Okay, so we need to measure this for length. So let's do that. Now let's figure out what we want to do before we go cutting everything. So if we've got this here, let's go over here. Let's put it on a line. And let's wrap it. I don't mind covering up a little bit of the dog. I didn't want to cover up the moon's eyeball though. Okay, let's take our pencil. I think I really need to sharpen my pencil. Let's mark our fabric here. Right there. Okay, that's where we're going to cut it. Okay, all I'm doing is cutting the fabric on the line that we drew. Okay, we're going to save that to use. Alrighty. I'm going to put it back in here, and I'm just lining it up with a line on this little blue mat. Right here. And if it's too tall, we can trim it. Okay, let's wrap it around. Okay, very well. Now, for this part of it, I think, here it is. I want to use my Fabri-Tac to bring it around to the front. So, let's hold this down. And we're going to put some glue on our fabric. Okay, let me get my glue spreader. Okay. Here we go. Okay, so now we're attached here and we won't go wiggling. Of course, we're not done because I want to put a piece of lace, a little piece of lace here. Okay, that at least just gives us a starting point. Okay, so in here, we're going to lay our spine right here. Okay, this is too long, so let me trim this. Oops, I didn't fold that down. Let me fold this down. Is that the top or is this the top? This is the top. Let me fold this down a little bit up here. Oops, get back down there. Okay, what is the problem? Oh, I didn't glue up here. That's the problem. Well, there's your problem, girly. Yeah, I'll put it down. That's better. Silly girl. Okay, now let me check the bottom before we start. Nope, that needs glued down too. All right, let me move those up so I don't get glue where I don't want glue. Okay. And let's trim this corner. And let's tuck this edge in. All right, let me get this glue off of here. I think it's still a little bit too long there. There we go. Okay, now we're going to fold the other side over. And that side over. Okay. I got glue on my scissors. And I just cleaned them. There we go. Okay, now our edges are nice and neat. Okay. Okay, so I'm lining this up. I think I'm going to use this actually. Just a smidgen. Just a smidgen away. Too bad I don't have two of them. Here we go. All right, we're going to put that on top of it so it doesn't move. And then we're going to take this piece. And it's going to go there. And what I'm doing is I'm marking here. I'm marking about a 1/2 inch on this side. And I'm coming up to the top. Right there's a 1/2 inch. And I'm marking a 1/2 inch at the top. Okay? See my pencil marks? Right there and right there. So I've marked a 1/2 inch that I need to cut off to wrap around the back. And if that's a little bit too much, then we can. Now let's see if that's straight. My gracious, that is not straight. All right, let's take our ruler and line them up before we do any cutting. Let's put that here. Let's put that there. Where's my half-inch mark? Oh, it's not on a half an inch. It's on that number 13. And that number 13. All right, let's do it this way. There. Now, let's see how much that gives us to wrap around. I'm thinking I would like it better just to glue it down and then trim it off. Because I would rather have too much than not enough. Know what I mean? Because if you don't have enough, then you are up that famous creek. Yeah, I think I would like to have a little bit more. I think I would like to have a little bit more on the back. Just a smidge. So we're going to go with that other mark. Now, if you're doing this with me, don't get flustered if you're measuring fabric. Don't get flustered. That's why I'm just using a pencil on the wrong side of the fabric. I have to do this all the time. Okay, I think that will work. Because you just, whoops, and that is not straight. Oh my gracious. You know, don't panic, don't get flustered with it. You just go. There we go. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to glue down our spine. Now, I'm gluing down the spine because I want to give it a little bit of security because, you know, this book is a little old. So I need to make sure that it's in the spot it needs to be in when I go to put it down. And this back here where I folded it over, you know, you don't see any of the edges. I'm using Fabri-Tac because I'm going fabric to fabric. And once I get it on here, I'm going to make sure that I spread it out really well because I don't want it bleeding through the other side. And I need to put my Teflon thing under this so it doesn't stick to my board. And this is not the time to skimp on your glue because this really needs to stick well. But it's also not the time to, you know, dump the whole bottle on it because it is going to be sewed. Now, the trick to Fabri-Tac on fabric is spread it out. Spread it. Darn it. spread it out and don't drop it. Spread it out in an even coat before you lay it down. That's the trick to Fabri-Tac. Everybody gets flustered because Fabri-Tac bleeds through. Well, it will if you put a big blob and then you don't spread it out. Oh my goodness, quit sticking to my fingers. Okay, let me get this underneath. But if you spread it out, it doesn't do that. I mean, it might a little bit, depending on the fabric. Do not use Fabri-Tac on things like lace. I mean, not lace, on silk. Things like that. Don't use it on that. And take your time putting it down. You're not on a time limit. Take your time. It'll give you a couple minutes to work with it. Okay. And as you can see, I'm bending the board back and forth, making sure I've got it where I want it. And no bleed through. Okay, now we're going to attach this one. So we're going to line it up here. I'm going to get it where I want it. Okay. Now, the first thing I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to go on and run some glue. I'm going to run it right down the edge, just on the edge of the board of the back of the book. Let's see, only place I'm putting it. And the reason I did that is I want it to catch the fabric, just like that. And I'm going to turn it over. Hold on just a second so I can show you what I did. So that bead of glue that I put caught the back of the fabric so I wasn't chasing it all over the board. Now I can go in with the glue again and I can finish gluing it down. And it won't scoot all over the place. Making books this way, to me, now this is just me. Other creators, they can do books like this. Oh my gosh. They just whip them out like this. To me, it takes me a little bit longer. There we go. Okay, see, I moved it. So now I need to pick it up and put it back. There we go. And I need to make sure that it's straight. There. Now, this will dry overnight. I'll let it dry flat like this. And I'll take this and I'll put another cereal bag on top of it, and then I'll weigh it down with some heavy books so that my fabric doesn't bubble and get out of place. Now, like your papers, you can't mess with it right now. You have to let it completely dry. Once it's completely dry, then you can come back to it and you can bend the book as you normally would, bend a book. Okay, so let's get this somewhere flat and covered. So right here are my sheets. So let's get a clean one. I'll put a clean one on it. And I think I'm going to take it off of this pinky one, and I'm going to put it inside here like this. Just like that. Okay, and I'm probably just going to sit this on the floor. That way I know nothing else will get put on top of it. And I'm just going to pick it up. Just like this. And let me sit this on the floor. Okay, and let me sit my book on it. Okay, I'm done with it. There we go. Okay, and we did that in 30 minutes. How about that? Okay, so that's great. Now, let's get our pages cut real quick. We will get our cardstock cut, and then we will call this a day. Okay, so our cardstock that we're going to put in here, the one thing you need to decide when using your cardstock is, do you want it to measure? Well, number one is, do you want to use cardstock? Now, my cardstock that I chose it's just a little bit heavier than my coffee dyed paper. Okay, it's about the same weight as the paper that was in the book, so it's really not heavy cardstock. This green piece is about the same weight as copy paper. The red and the yellow are about the same weight as the paper that's in the book. Okay, so I think I want mine at least, I think I want all three of them the same size as the signatures. So I'm going to cut them down to 8.5 by 11. Actually, no, since I had to trim these, they can't be 8.5 by 11, can they? Because I had to trim them. So let's take a page out. I forgot I had to trim them. And see what size our page is. And then we'll cut them to that size. So we're just going to use this like this. Now, there was a side that I wanted this corner. So we're going to scoot this over here like that. And we're going to use our very dull pencil. And we're going to mark the corner here. And we're going to mark it down here. And we're going to mark it up here. Just like that. Okay? And that'll make it easy to cut. So we're going to cut all three pieces the same height and the same width. So let's just put it in here. And line it up. And then we'll save these. We'll use these pieces that are left. We'll use them for pockets. We'll use them for belly bands. Like this piece that's going to be done here. This is going to be a great belly band piece. Yeah, that'll be a great piece for a belly band. Okay, and then we can fold this. And this should be the same size. There we go. So now we can use this to cut these two. Now this gold one, is the gold one? Yeah, I wanted this piece here. So let's put this over here to mark. Okay, I went there, there, and there. Do you guys have deer where you live? Well, I was out last night or yesterday with the boys, you know, walking them. And whenever we go out during the day, we walk around the yard and, you know, the little one, Baxter, he likes to go around to the greenhouse and he likes to help me take plants out and look at the plants and, you know, that kind of stuff. So we walked around to the backyard and we were taking plants out for the day. And I have 2 baby hydrangeas back there. You know, they're little, they're young. Compared to, they came from the mamas that are on the side of the house. And I happened to look at one of them, and he was just going crazy around it. Just going crazy. And I thought, what is he doing over there? So we have a herd of deer that bed down. There we go. That bed down, just right down at the bottom of our yard, down by a creek, and I thought, oh, the deer have been walking around, and it's baby season, you know, for our deer. So he was just, oh my gosh, you guys, he was just losing it. So I thought, well, the deer have been walking around again. That's what he's smelling. The babies have been walking around. So I got the plants out and I went over to him and I said, come on, buddy, let's go. Well, I looked up. These little stinkers of the deer have eaten the tops off this baby hydrangea. There's hardly anything left of this little hydrangea. And it was getting to be pretty good sized. I was so frustrated with that little deer. So I thought, okay, so last night I thought it's time to spray to keep them off of the plants. I don't mind them eating out in the yard, those plants, but I don't want them in the areas where the boys are because they leave deer stuff. And Baxter, being Baxter, will investigate, and if he smells something he likes, he eats it. So I got the spray out last night, and one of the bottles was from last year, and I opened up the sprayer, and oh my gosh, you guys, it was the most horrible smell I have ever smelled in my entire life. I thought I was just going to fall over and choke. I was like, what the heck? So I sprayed, where I could spray, and I couldn't get it to spray all the way. It just wouldn't do it. I didn't cut that very well, did I? But I do like that. I thought, what in the world is this terrible, terrible smell? I think we're going to take that out, and we're going to put, and we're going to make this a trifle in here. So I fought with it for a long time, and it just wasn't coming out. It just wasn't. So I got out a new bottle, and it lickety split. It came out. It came out. Okay, and that goes that way. So I went on and I sprayed like I wanted to spray, and I came in and I sprayed the front of the house. Like I said, I don't mind them eating some of the things in the front yard, but I don't want them, near the sidewalk and things like that, because that's where the boys go, and I just don't want them there. I want that there. I don't want them where they are because they'll eat it. And that's not healthy for them. So I came in the house and my husband said, "What did you spray?" And I said, "Well, I had to spray the deer spray to keep the deer away." He said, "I think that's not only going to keep the deer away, but it's going to keep everybody in the neighborhood away." And I said, "Oh, they'll be fine. They won't even smell it. We're going to be the only ones that smell it." He said, well, I closed every door and every window in the house. Nobody's going to smell it. So it kept them away. So we'll see how long it works. But Baxter didn't go out this morning after anything. So that was always good. But do you guys have deer like that come up in your yards and want to come after things? And if you do, how do you handle them? What do you do? Okay, so I'm going to go on and add this little trifold right here. You know, from one of the colors of paper. It'll fold out like that. And when we get to it, we can add some little pockets. See, it'll go like that. And I'm going to make this back piece a little pocket. You know what? Before we glue it down, let's go on and do this. But I have to admit it was pretty smelly. It was like, oh my gosh, that is the smelliest thing I've ever heard in my entire life, or smelled in my entire life. And I had to come in and put all of my clothes in the laundry immediately because they just smelled that bad. Even my muck boots. He said, you can't leave those boots in the house. And I said, well, where else would you like me to put them? He said, well, don't bring them upstairs. It's like, I don't ever bring my muck boots upstairs, boy. Okay, so I just did a quick ink on it. You know, so it kind of stands out on the page a little bit. And then when we get to it in our book, we'll already have it down. And I'm making sure when I put it down that it's not, you know, it's not anywhere near, you know, that this isn't anywhere near here. So it'll go like that. So it's not near here. So we know that it's not going to get sewn in by accident. Okay. And things like this are always fun to find, you know, because if you're like me, I forget that I do them. And then when I turn a page and it's there, it's like, oh, look what I have to play with. There we go, right there. Okay. So now that one has two colors. And this one, I think we're going to add the red to, since it's coming up front. I think we're going to add it right here. No, you know what? I think we're going to add it right here behind our doily. I think that's where we're going to add it. We're going to put it right here. And then we're going to put the doily in front of it. Like that. There we go. Okay, and then in this one, I think I want to add some of the yellow. Now, do we have a little piece of, oh, we do have a little piece of the yellow. So let's see if we can find, yeah, right there. So we're going to go on and add a side tuck. And again, we'll make sure that it doesn't interfere anywhere with our, you know, with our thing. You know what? I think we're going to move it here to the back. Okay, that was that pull out. So I think we're going to put it right there. And I'm just using the Fabri-Tac. It just happens to be here on the side of my desk, and that's just what I'm using. And if we use these scraps up now while we're here, then they don't get lost. They don't clutter our desk. Okay, there's a little side tuck. Okay, and this one. Now remember, this page was torn, so we wanted to be careful around this page. So I'm thinking I'm going to take this green, and I want to use it maybe as a piece of washi and go around there like that. Let's pull that off of there. That piece is really torn. Okay, well, let's just go with it. Let's just tear it off. We'll just tear it off. And then in the middle, we're going to put the green, except we're going to turn it the other way. We're going to put it like this. And then on this back, on the back side of the tear we just did, I think we're going to do that. Just like that. Now, where's that other little piece we had? Right, where is it? There it is. Or maybe this red one. Is it big enough? No. All right. So let's cut this. Let's see what kind of time we have here. All right. Well, you guys get the idea, you know, of things that we can do here. And I think we're going to call it a day. We'll come back and play with our pages another day. And after everything dries, we're going to save these. After everything dries, we'll get our pages sewn in. And we will, which I think will be the next video. We'll get our pages sewn in. And we'll start having some fun, some more fun decorating our pages. And watch our book really start coming to life with some fun. And we've also got our fabric that we can use. And we still have this page. And we have our scraps. And I found some ribbon that we can use. Somewhere back here is our ribbon. Well, it's there. I just have to get it. So there's all kinds of fun things that we can use to decorate our book and have some fun. Yeah, I know. I've got stuff everywhere, you guys. There's our ribbon. Plus, we're going to add some lace to the front of our book. And we'll do that after everything's dry. So, if you're a subscriber on the channel, thank you, thank you. I'm so thankful for you. And hope that you stay and come back and watch the next video. And I really hope that you're creating along with me and creating your own children's book video. Or not. I hope you're creating your own children's book journal. Oh my gracious, I told you my brain wasn't working today. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. I hope that you subscribe and hang out with us and create with us. It's always fun here at the Ladybug Journals. And if you're just, you know, kind of hanging out, looking to see what all we do, well, now you know what we do. We have some fun, we create, and you just never know what all we're going to get into. So, you guys know how to do things. You know how to share. You know how to let all your friends know what's happening. So, until I see you again in our next video, ta-ta for now.